Hey guys, and welcome back. Over the past few episodes, we've given the GameCube controller an absolute ton of love and come up with some absolutely awesome mods for it that have turned out really fantastic. But today, I want to take a look back at a 5th gen console whose controller I love and give it the mod makeover it deserves. First up, as always, is to rip the controller open, and thankfully, Sega always seems to use Phillips screws. Makes it extra easy to get in there and take these things apart. Got a little lucky with this controller. It's not too dirty, but it certainly could be cleaned, so let's go ahead and get in there with some isopropyl, clean this bad boy up. So the overall idea or concept that I'm trying to go for here is I want to find a way to introduce some LEDs into the actual, button area of the controller itself. So in order to go ahead and try to execute that, what I'm doing right here is I'm marking on the controller where exactly I'm going to need to use a drill in order to drill into the plastic and place the LEDs. Now, I took a little bit of time and consideration to do all this. I didn't just do it willy-nilly, and you'll kind of see as we get a little further along how I was able to drill holes in specific places and lay out the LEDs in a way that was both efficient and appropriate to get as much light as possible into the actual buttons itself. As always, I like to drop some tips and tricks in these videos too. So I've gone ahead and plugged in the controller and turned on the power, and right now I'm go ahead and testing for where on the controller I can pull my 5 volts from, because that's where I'm going to hook up my LEDs to, and my ground. So I'm just going ahead and hooking everything up to known ground and going ahead and finding my 5 volts from there. Alright, now it's just time to get the LEDs in. I'm going to go ahead and install 6 total LEDs, and I'm going to hold them in place with a little bit of hot glue. Those who've been watching this for a while know I hate using hot glue for mods, but for holding LEDs in, there's really not a better way to go about doing this. Alright, with all the LEDs finally installed, it's time to go ahead and bundle up the wires and go ahead and get all my positives together, get all my grounds together, so I can go ahead and connect those to the ground and to the 5 volt line that we picked out earlier. This clip right here also gives you a nice idea of kind of how I arranged everything, how the LEDs are set up, and where they're ultimately projecting into the buttons on the controller. So if you've been watching up to now, you're probably thinking to yourself, but wait a minute, we're going to shine LEDs into the buttons, but the buttons aren't clear, they're opaque. Well, we kind of got that covered. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and cast some semi-clear buttons. So I've done a video on this before on how to cast buttons, and I'm going to go ahead and leave a card in the top right hand corner over here if you're interested in checking out that video. But we're going to go ahead and create a mold using some silicone, and then we're going to go ahead and cast out of clear resin some buttons. Now the one thing I will tell you when we go ahead and do this is, if you don't have a vacuum chamber and if you don't have a pressure pot, getting perfectly clear buttons using clear resin is virtually impossible to do. However, we will get some air bubbles into our buttons, and that's actually a good thing for this. And the reason why is because those air bubbles will go ahead and help diffuse the light, which will help make the LEDs shine brighter into the buttons. Kind of an abstract concept there, but it actually looks fantastic when it's all said and done. So let's go ahead and get these buttons cast and go ahead and drop them into the controller. Alright, with the buttons all cast, the only thing left to do is go ahead and drop them in there and reassemble this bad boy. Alright, controller's assembled. Only thing left to do is now give it a little test. So let's plug it in, and let's fire up the console, and let's hope those LEDs shine bright. Alright, looks like we got a winner. I guess the only thing left to do is give those buttons a workout and play some games. Fighting games are an excellent way to test out a new controller, and my fighting game of choice on the Sega Saturn is Vampire Hunter. And I also really enjoy Vampire Savior, but this specific version is Vampire Hunter. And I can tell you what, the controller feels absolutely great. The buttons feel just like the originals, and as they should, they're cast from them. And I'll tell you what, looks damn good too. With all that being said, I want to thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment, a like, and a subscribe. Until the next one, guys, have a good one.